Newcastle United's fellow Premier League rivals have picked up points in today's Champions League draws. Can Newcastle do the same? Find out right here on Toon Tactics TV, folks.
Oh, brilliant from Sham. And now Murphy could take on the shot. Fabian Sham.
All right, folks. How are you all doing? I hope you guys are having a blessed evening and a great week as it starts to the week. What we are now on Wednesday? What day is today? Is it Tuesday? Tomorrow's Wednesday. Tomorrow's Newcastle playing, right? Today is Tuesday. I hope it's Tuesday. Let me just confirm. It is Tuesday today. Well, no matter what day of the week it is, whatever time it is, I hope you guys are absolutely blessed and having a great day, great evening. Newcastle in the Champions League, we've all got to be, and that's incredible. That's incredible for us to be able to see, not in the Championship. That's good news for us all. So I'm looking forward to doing the tactical breakdown for today as well. But folks, do let me know in the chat as always. Just remember to like, share, and subscribe. You've been absolutely phenomenal in that. You know our conversion rate is Haaland settings when it comes to our conversion rate. So please do remember to like, share, and subscribe, folks. Good to see Adrian Pickett in the chat. Good evening to everyone. God bless you, Adrian. As always, good to see you. Tonight's show, we're going to be doing a little bit of like who are our Champions League opponents that we're going to be playing in the Champions League. I won't lie to you, folks. I didn't know who our opponents were until we played them, until obviously they've come up in the fixture in Royale Union Saint-Gilloise, and I'm sure I'm saying it wrong, but they are a powerhouse in the Belgian league for sure, and actually owned by Tony Bloom from Brighton. So you can imagine what kind of team they are, and I'm sure it's an exciting project in Belgium as well. In fact, I know from the stuff that from the clips and the stuff that I've read, it is certainly an exciting project, football project in Belgium as well. So we're going to be doing a tactical breakdown of the game. We're going to be finding a little bit about our opponents in the as well. We're going to be talking about Newcastle's form a little bit as well. Obviously, coming off of the 2-1 loss to Arsenal, we're going to be talking a little bit about Newcastle's form going into this Champions League game, where we're at, where we're standing, what my own personal thoughts and opinions are on it. But I want to know yours. I want to know what you guys are thinking about Newcastle's form so far this season, our style of play and everything else. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be breaking down the metrics, using a bit of AI, but also kind of adding a little bit of qualitative information from some analysts as well. So looking at that. And at the end, we're going to be doing our own kind of conclusions and predictions for the game. So make sure you guys are there to give your predictions on the game. Let me know what scores you think we're going to get as well. And if you know a little bit about Royale, do let me know as well. I've just covered the metrics and stats and everything else. I haven't had a chance to see a minute of their game, but there is enough to suggest they are a strong side as well. So let's take it away, folks. Let's see where we get. Let's see where we're going to be at with this as well. Doing our match preview from Brussels of Love, obviously Royale. I can't say the name, Saint-Gilloise. My apologies, guys. In Belgium as well. That's where we're going to be at. That's where the team are at currently, actually. We saw some clips today, them doing the training sessions at their ground as well. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the game. Let's see where we're at with it as well. So that's what we're going to be doing for tonight's show. So we're going to talk about who are Royale Union Saint-Gilloise. What is their style of play? We're going to talk about Newcastle's form. We're doing a tactical breakdown as well as the predictions and conclusions for the game itself. So, Royale Union Saint-Gilloise. So, just a quick background. Founded in 1897, their home stadium where Newcastle are currently out training, Joseph Marianne Stadium, 9,400 capacity. So a little bit smaller than Bournemouth Stadium, I think, as well. Um, they've got an interesting history. Like they've got 11 Belgian titles, and they were in the Belgium like second tier. Well, they actually went as far down as after the Second World War. They went down as far as the fourth tier, and they were in essentially out of the Belgium, like their version, the Belgium's top tier league for years. And then they had a bit of revival in 2018 when none other than Tony Bloom took over and returned them back to and from that 3 years later in 2021 they returned back to the Belgian Pro League where they won their 12th title. That's an incredible I'm hoping Newcastle have a revival like that, honestly. Can't remember the last time we won the league, but that'll be something similar to that. And and they won also the Crocky Cup as well in 2024. Their style, we're going to be talking a little bit later, but their style is aggressive, modern football, high pressing as well. They're currently in the Champions League. They just recently beat PSV 3-1 as well. And in 2022-23 season, they actually reached the Europa League finals. Some of the notable players aren't there anymore. I just double checked that before I came on the show. Literally, all of these guys: Teddy Toma, Dante, Dennis Undav. It is a selling club. They do pride themselves on that as well, in getting players for low value and moving them on. Just like Tony Bloom's Brighton. So, the pace of their turnover, the player turnover is pretty quick as well. But you can see they've got European pedigree. They've got title pedigree in their own league as well. So they are Belgium's number one team. I don't think they won it last year. I think they finished third, but they've been absolutely phenomenal. And I rate, for instance, Club Bruges. Like I really like Club Bruges, who are obviously their rivals. And for these guys to already be finishing above them and doing kind of already winning the league, I think this is going to be a difficult game for us as well. God bless you, Aaron Cave. Good to see you. Good evening to you as well. Good evening all. Ginger Hoskins, good to see you, sir. God bless you, Philip. What's your score for tomorrow? I'm going to tell you at the end of the show if you hang about as well. So I'm going to be doing a bit of a game breakdown as well. So there's a little bit of information on them as well. I'm going to go. This is a sign for me to also we're going to be talking a little bit about their style of play, but I wanted to talk a little bit about, where is it? Their style of play. I'm going to share my screen with you guys in terms of, is it this one? No. Oh, came off it. Here we go. Here we go. Can you see that? Yeah, you can. Okay, so this is from Soccer Wisdom. They gave a bit of a breakdown. A lot of the stuff that we talked about already. Obviously, Tony Bloom is the owner. They got 11 league titles. They won their 12th one in 24-25 season or 23-24 season. Only 3 years after returning to it as well. So that's been absolutely incredible for them. So their style of play. That's the part I wanted to focus on, and we're going to be talking about it. So we're going to focus on a little bit later, but they got the 3-4-3 style, essentially a 3-4-3 formation, typically, or that goes into a 5-3-2. So a style that excites. This is from Soccer Wisdom. Tactically, USG, or I'm going to call them USG, plays an aggressive and modern brand of soccer. I'm going to say football. I hate the word soccer. The team emphasizes quick transitions, coordinated pressing, and vertical passing, which isn't too dissimilar to Club Bruges. Rather than sit back and they push forward, which is exactly what I expect them to do in their stadium, in front of their home fans. Defenders, this is going to be the key part. Defenders step into the midfield. Midfielders dart into the box. So you can imagine there's a box midfield going on there as well. Wingers cut inside. So they've got inside forwards, essentially. And the movement is constant. The pressure is relentless. So there's parts of that you can see that can trouble Newcastle, but then there's parts of that you can imagine where there's going to be gaps opening up at the back as well. So let's see where we go from there in terms of like us being able to exploit it. And in many ways, as Soccer Wisdom says, in many ways, they mirror Bloom's Brighton. Both clubs value flexibility, data, and sharp tactics. It's no coincidence their rise happened simultaneously. Tony Bloom knows how to make not only profitable clubs, but clubs that have earned their pedigree, in their respective leagues as well. There's no point in talking about these guys' stars because all the ones that I was mentioned in this article. This is, by the way, this article was written in April 2025, and all these players, Teddy Toma, Dante Vanizer, German striker Dennis Undav, they've all been sold. They've all been sold. Actually, Dennis Undav used to play for Brighton, interestingly. They've all been sold. So it's incredible, really. More than a football club, USG isn't just a football club. They represent a community based in Forest, one of Brussels' neighbourhoods. USG connects deeply with locals. Fans remember the glory days. They also lived the lean years. Sounds like Newcastle to me. Now they celebrate the revival together. Hopefully that will be us. The club doesn't rely on celebrity. It thrives on culture. Supporters back the Stade Joseph Maria, not for glamour, that's their stadium, but for belonging. The passion fuels the team. Each match feels personal. Each win a shared triumph. And like as we mentioned earlier, Europa League quarterfinalists just in 2023, 22-23 season, which is again added to their European heritage, their pedigree. They're rivals with Anderlecht as well. So a lot going on for this club. I think they've got an incredible history from the short stuff, from the limited amount I've been able to read, but they've got a lot of and the stadium looks small, looks intense. Because this is going to be, honestly, this is going to be a proper game, proper game. And, it's not going to be any walk in the park at all. Far from it. So I'm looking forward to see that. Actually, what I wanted to show as well before I got into us, other thing in terms of their form coming into the game. I came off the screen as well, so I might as well so I have to come back on it. I've got a few folks in the chats as well. Good to see folks coming into the chats. Folks, do remember to like, share, and subscribe. I wanted to show something as well. So their form coming in. Make sure you guys can see that. Yes, you can. Like I said, I'm going to call them USG for short because I'm just so bad at pronouncing the name. Forgive me. Forgive me if there's any USG fans that do watch this. But let me look at their stats real quick. Did I say you can see that? Yeah, you can see that. So they're doing that's Champions League. Pro League. Right, so USG, let me just double check. Did they win last year or did they win the year before that? 24-25 season. Okay, they came third last season and it was 23-24 that they won it. That's like, what, a year back? After a year back? 2 years back? Absolutely phenomenal. Right, so their form is really, really good. So they're currently number one in the Belgian Pro League after 9 games. They won 7 games. They drew 2. They haven't lost a game yet. 15 plus goal difference. That's 10 more than Club Bruges. Again, a club that I rate highly. 19 goals scored, nearly 2 goals per game. No, that's even more than 2 goals per game. Sheesh, incredible. They've already conceded 4, 23 points, 5 points. They started the season like an absolute house on fire. And this is their form. This is the games they've won so far. And this includes, obviously, the PSV game in the Champions League, which they won 3-1. Really, really, really good game as well from them. I'm going to come back to this because I am going to look at their style of play in a moment as well, when we do look at them a little bit more closer as well. But again, out of 9, is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? 10 games. They've won in the last 10 games. They've won 8, and they drew 2. So they're going into this game with us unbeaten, and they've just beaten Westerlo 2-0 as well. So USG are coming into this game high, like on an absolute high. I'm sure high in confidence. Great results. Unbeaten, beating everybody to a pulp in their league, literally. And I think I can only imagine they can't wait to play us. Honestly, I think they can't wait to play us. And we're going to have to really show some intensity in this game. 100%. So before we dive a little bit deeper in terms of their team, we're going to be talking about Newcastle's form coming into this game. We know what USG's form is into this game, and I'm going to break it down into two parts. I'm going to quickly look at our form in terms of games won and everything else, but I'm going to have a deeper dive into our very own metrics. But before I do that, there's folks in the chat. We've got 8 folks already watching live, which is amazing, guys. Please do remember like, share, and subscribe, as I know you always do. Excuse me. Aaron Kemp says, I have to say this, I'm really disappointed in the lineups and tactics so far this season. I feel like we are shoehorning players in for the sake of it, i.e. Burn at left back, which was criminal. I wonder what, because I don't think Lewis was even on the bench, from what I can remember, guys. I wonder why that was, and my camera's off, annoyingly. Sorry, folks, put myself. Sorry, folks, got myself all having a bit of technical difficulties there. Can I get myself back online? See if I can get myself back online. Can we get ourselves back online so I was in terms of, it was all going great until now. Come on, let's get ourselves back online. Let me know if you guys can hear me, and then I'll just continue as is. I wonder what's happened, just like that. I got taken off. Or let me know if you guys can hear me, but literally just got taken offline just like that. It's crazy. Come on, let's get ourselves working, up and running. Can we get ourselves all right? So can you guys hear? Yeah, you can hear me. All right, I'll just continue as is. Yeah, I didn't see Lewis Hall on the bench. I did see reports today to say that he is expected to play, or he's in the Champions League squads, and I think he's over in Belgium right now. So I don't know. I wonder why he didn't play. Maybe it's just part of rotation. Maybe he was sick. Not sure. Not sure what the situation was, but having Lewis Hall on the left side of the pitch does give us a lot of balance. So yeah, let's see. I'm going to talk about it at Newcastle in terms of our style of playing, what we've been doing, Aaron, a little bit closer in terms of metrics and everything else. So I'll be interested to get your feedback on it as well. BT, good to see you. God bless you. Good evening, Philip, and all in the chat. Good evening to you, BT. As always a blessing to see you. Bobby Fairview, how are you doing, sir? You must be chuffed with the victory. I'm sure you are. I'm sure you would have enjoyed. At least got points on the board. I'll be interested to know how you feel about the performance. I didn't get to see it too much, even though I just had to focus on getting this show ready. But 1-0 is not bad against Benfica. Bobby says, big up Philip and the Toon fans. I hope you're all doing well. Did I miss the Arsenal review? No, I didn't. I didn't get to do the Arsenal review. I'll talk about I'll kind of intertwine it intertwine it, is that the right word? I will include it in my preview of this game as well, so you'll get that as well. But great question, though. Appreciate you for that, Bobby. Aaron, I know we can't press all the time, and the team can't always press, but something needs to give because we are posing no threat, which goes back to January. We need more technical ability than runners. That's a fair point. That is a fair point. Ginger Hoskins says, after watching PSV match, I honestly think if we don't score, it may be time to scratch our wide players, sell up and buy again in January. Fair play. Kim Cam, always good to see you. God bless you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, good. Who is he? It was fatigue, was it? Thanks for that, Adrian. So he was training with the squad, which is good, and it was fatigue was the issue with Hall. Yeah, I've seen Hall in the Belgian training. Yeah, and I expect him to play. To be honest, I do expect to see Hall playing. All right. So, and Aaron says Hall wasn't even on the bench against Arsenal. I don't really understand it. To be honest, if he was fatigued, he could have had at least been on the bench. Maybe there was something more to it. Maybe it's just not fatigue. Maybe it could be anything really. I wouldn't even want to guess. But the main thing is he's here now. Is with us in Belgium. So it's good. We've got him now. That's the main thing. We've got him now. Right. So speaking of our form, speaking of everything that we're doing at the moment, let me see if you guys can see that. No, you can't. Let me take this off. Let me put on our form. Oh no, I've got to take this for first. Then I'll put on our form. Here we go. So that's USG. They're in very good form. If you compare them to us, they are in superb form. We talked about how they're doing, top of the league. 23, 24 goals scored, something like that. No, 19 goals scored, 4 conceded. They're in phenomenal shape. Now, ourselves, this is the last 10 games. 4 losses. 4 losses, 2 wins. Sorry, my sound went off there. So for ourselves, 4 losses, 2 wins, and 4 draws. No, hold on. Let me go back. Sorry, folks. So, guys, let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me, folks. My sound is acting up a little bit. Let me know if you can hear me. Hopefully you can. Let me know if you can hear me. Yeah, my camera's is just fatigued. Just like Lewis Hall was, my camera is absolutely gone. Let me know if you guys can hear me though, because I'm having a little bit of a technical with my sound. Yeah, okay, cool. So I'll just continue, folks. Yeah, my camera's gone, but at least my sound is here. Thank you, guys. Let me go back to our form, which isn't great. So yeah, last 10 games, we won 2 games. That includes a League Cup victory though against Bradford. So and 1 league victory against Wolves out of the 6 games, obviously. The other games, obviously, is included here is actually our pre-season games. So I'm going to take away the pre-season games, and I'm going to look at the 8 games we've had so the 6 league games and the Champions League game and the League Cup game. So the 3 games that we have lost: Arsenal, Liverpool, Barcelona. Right? For me, just to say, some people might not be happy with that. They are, elite sides at the moment. At least a level or 2 above us in terms of where they're at, in terms of where they are as teams. And I think they're some of the Europe's finest teams at the moment. Probably favorites, a couple favorites there for the Champions League. So for me, it's no. Would I like to have beaten them? Yes, absolutely. But I'm not. I would have been more concerned if we were losing to Wolves, if we were losing to Leeds, if we were losing to other teams like that. That's not what's happening. And in terms of our Premier League, obviously, where we are currently 15th. I'm not too worried about the places. We're on -1 goal difference. We're not scoring a lot. Scored 4 goals, 5 conceded at this moment in time. But there's obviously the main issues around attack, I think, as well. But for me, and we're going to go into the metrics, we're going to go into the weeds of things. Why isn't Newcastle 15th? Why isn't Newcastle have scored 4 goals, 5 conceded? A few folks have talked about some of Howe's tactical decisions. We're not as much of a pressing side as we've previously been. And I've gone on Optometrics. Not Optometrics. I've gone on Optastats and looked up key stats in relation to our attack, in relation to our defense, and kind of got a bit of a conclusion about where I think we're at as well. And so let me know what you guys think. Chip in with all of that as well, and we'll do a tactical breakdown as well after that as well. So I'm quite interested. I'm quite intrigued to see what you guys think of this as well. So before we get into it, I think we've got a few other chats as well. Yeah, my camera's gone. I think you guys Lascelles BT says Lascelles can still be brought into the Champions League squad, though that depends on the severity of Livermento's injury. Yeah, it's all smoke and mirrors as to where it's at. I forgot what the guy's name. I don't know if you guys seen it. There's like this online physio guy, and he can kind of gives a prognosis on what he sees. I think at the worst he said he's probably expected to be out for 4 to 6 weeks. I think at the worst. But otherwise, it could just be bruising. But we'll see. Like, you don't want to second guess these things at all. You want to just hear where it is, isn't it? Newcastle BT says Newcastle must provide UEFA with the necessary medical evidence of Livermento's injury by an expert appointed by UEFA at the club's expense. Okay, as always, obviously UEFA don't want to pay for anything themselves. You can imagine. Okay, so let's get into the weed of it. Let's get into nooks and crannies of it. I don't know how else I can put it, to be honest. What is happening with Newcastle? What are the metrics saying about Newcastle? And let's see where we're at. Right. So the first part I want to talk about was let me actually put this, because I forgot I can actually see your comments while I'm talking to you on the slides. Oh no, I can't see on the PDF slide. Okay, so anyway, so let's start off with the Newcastle's defensive strength, and this is our strength. This is really phenomenally good. And I know I've got AI to write here world class. I'm not going to take the mick here, but there's a reason why. Put it as we do have an elite defense, despite us obviously conceding 2 goals in our last game. But all the stats and all the metrics so far point to us having a very good, at least a very, very good defense. I personally think is tipping towards elite at the moment. And the reason being is this. So, and it's actually not a fluke. So our system, which is not a fluke, it's a result of deliberate and highly effective tactical approach. So we've conceded per game, we concede 0.83 per game. We're 5th in the league for that, right? XG conceded, so chances that we're conceding, chances that are being expected goals that we're conceding is 0.83. So we're 2nd in the league. So actually, the goals that have been scored, so when people do score against, they're actually overperforming on their XG when they're playing against us. So if anything, it's people having a fluke when they're scoring against, not a fluke, but it's teams getting creating the most of the chance they're getting in order to get goals against us. So 0.77 XG per game we're conceded. So we're 2nd in the league for that. and then goals versus XG. Now, this metric is going to be important. I'm going to explain why in a moment. So goals versus XG. So goals actually scored against us, and I just talked about this just now. Goals that actually conceded against us versus the XG that we're conceding is 0.07. So, which in brackets it says here, perfectly in line with expectations. And what this is actually saying to us, what actually explaining to us is that the stats on XG is not a fluke. It is, so we're not just lucky, we're not just fortunate. So it's not like we've conceded 5 goals, but really we should have conceded like 20 goals if you looked at the XG. We actually conceded less XG than per game than the goals that we're conceding, right? So what that's pointing to is that essentially what the data shows is that we are experts at preventing high quality chances, which is a direct result of our targeted and successful pressing. We're going to talk about the pressing in a moment as well. And the goals align with our expected XG conceded, confirming that our defense is solid due to a robust system and not by fluke, not just by chance. So there's a last metric there that I talked about, pressed sequences. And Aaron mentioned earlier, for instance, we're not as high pressing as we are. And what I did was look at metrics in terms of went a bit too far there. So the press sequence is essentially talking about it. We're first in the league for this. And there's what this essentially measures is how many passes a team is able to make in a game per game against us before we're able to take the ball off them. So we're first in the league for that. Now, people might be quite surprised about that because we're thinking, as Aaron pointed out, we are not a high, as of recent especially, we're not a high pressing team. And if you look at a metric called PPDA, which I'll find in a moment, let me just find it, because I was looking this up. PPDA. Let me just find it. So what PPDA, hopefully I'm saying it correctly. Where are you? This means that, where are you? I had it. So PPDA, where are you? This measures, what essentially it measures is our level of intensity. I was just looking to see so passes per defensive action. So essentially what that measures is the number of passes any time during the game a team is able to make. Now we're kind of somewhere in the mid-table position to that. So on the one hand, our PPDA in comparison to our passes per sequence are contrary to one another. So how are we number one for actually taking the passes per sequence? So the number of times we're able to win the ball over, turn the ball over, compared to that's we're number one in the league to that. But compared to the PPDA, which shows essentially that our level of intensity in terms of the amount of times we kind of any time in terms of closing the team down and getting the ball back is somewhere in the mid-table if you look at it that way. And what it's actually showing it in terms of, and if you kind of break it down, is that Newcastle do press, but they choose when to press. So you kind of got to look at Newcastle's press as quality over quantity. So it's very different to the season when we first qualified for the Champions League, where we were pressing monsters. We were final third winners. We were, number one in those league tables for turnovers in the opposition half, and number one in terms of just our pressing stats intensity. I think it was only teams like Man City that were above us in those seasons, but otherwise we were just, just far higher in terms of any other team, in terms of the winning the ball, our intensity, and kind of essentially being known, Newcastle being as that team, our intensity is our identity. Nowadays, Newcastle's intensity is more like we are intensity when we choose to be intense. So it's very much, in my view, how I look at it, as we're strategic in our pressing. We're more strategic, and our defense is built on a specific targeted pressing system. So we're not just a pressing team where we're just pressing at any time, anytime, anywhere, but we're effectively winning the ball back in dangerous areas. We have our own kind of trigger points. We have our own kind of ways and parts of the team, part of the pitch. Maybe it's part of the pitch. Maybe it's a phase in play, or where we choose to press a team and win the ball back. So that's why we're number one in terms of pressing sequences, winning the ball back, and we're ninth in the league for actual PPDA, pressing per defensive action. So we're actually winning the ball back, and we have a far more strategic way of doing that. And if folks should remember, even in the season when we qualified for the Champions League, and we were like these defensive, we were these pressing, we were like this defensive, we were these intense, kind of animals, machines. The following season, we had the worst injury record ever. We had tons of players out, and that really cost us. And I think so part of the reason why I think our intensity is so much more strategic when we win the ball back, how we win the ball back, various trigger points. I think partly the reason for this is to help us to be a little bit to kind of avoid those injuries, and add that with the obviously this season now, where we're trying to keep injuries down. We've got squad rotation. We're competing in multiple. We're competing in multiple tournaments. I think we've like I said, I think that's the reason why I think Eddie Howe has chosen a more strategic way of pressing. So it's not always pressing at all times. That's what kind of the metrics are showing us as well. So let me know what you guys think. I think we've got one here. Ginger Hoskins says, Philip, our issues is that it sent the midfielder to defensive creation, and wingers are all pace but can't take on defenses or score. So that is an Eddie Howe built system. That system is not the players, and he signed it. So you're kind of bringing it back to Howe for the players that he signed. I think if I got you right, Ginger, let me know. And we're going to talk about the attacking part. I just wanted to kind of highlight this point on the defensive part before I get into the attack. I do take that into account. That's where we're going to be talking about that. That's where our main issues come. Ginger Hoskins says, sorry, Philip, our stats are 17, 15, and 19 in the league. Where are you getting those stats? Or we're doing nothing but Liverpool games, that and the Premier stats. So Opta Analyst. So if you go on Opta Analyst, that's where you find our stats per game. That's where we're at in terms of that. So do have a look on Opta Analyst. Ginger Hoskins says, bruv, please, what are you doing going back season? Just state the season. I'm sorry, it's not all about going over stats, mate. Just watch the games. There are clear issues in the team. But this is how I'm going to break down the game, Ginger, and then I'm going to explain what my thoughts are. I'm going to give an informed belief and thought about where I think Newcastle are at. So this is just my way, Ginger, of doing it. So that's where we're at. Adrian Pickett, intensity was our identity, but it led to intensive care. Exactly. That's in the more concise way. That's exactly it. Intensity was our identity, but it led to intensive care. So, thank you, Adrian. That's the best way to break it down. So we've become a lot more strategic in terms of when we press and how we press. In terms of that, that's the best way to break it down. Ginger says, Philip, the Prem has the eight stats, mate. Opta is just scout reviews, mate. I don't think Opta is it's Opta. What I'm reading is in terms of Opta analyst is what I'm looking at. So there is the stats there. So I don't know if you can see it on the screen. Let me get it. So let me get this pressing. I'll show it to you in a moment in the screen what I'm looking at. Here we go. So let me see if you guys can see this. Let me show you. Let me take this down. Remove this. Put this. But that's not the one I want to show. I want to show. Where art thou? Here we go. Share this tab instead. Can you guys see that? Yeah, you guys can see that. So this is Opta Analyst. Newcastle United, Opta Analyst. Here we go, right here. You can see, let me zoom in. It's Opta Analyst, right? So that's where I got the stats from. Newcastle are number 1 in the league for pressed sequences, 13.5. They, in terms of winning the ball back, Newcastle are number 1 in terms of being able to do that. PPDA, in terms of intensity, Newcastle are not number 1 in the league. They're 9th. They're very low in terms of that, in terms of when they're winning the ball back. So in terms of, it's not winning the ball back, in terms of press, in terms of defensive action. So that's where we're at with that. So that's where I got the stats from. Let me know. Maybe I'm reading it wrong. Like, I'm happy to be corrected on that, but that's how it's come out. That's how I've interpreted it. But dude, I'm happy to be kind of brought up on that. But at the same time, it does tie into why the number of goals we conceded and the XG we conceded have been so low. It's partly because of our ability to press in at the right time, and kind of why our injuries have been relatively low. Again, because of we've been targeted in how we're pressing. So actually that part of the game is working. So defense is our strength. We are 0.77 per game in terms of chances conceded, as well as goals, and goals conceded 0.7. So it's very deliberate. Our system, our defensive system is working. And we're going to go into the attacking part. Kim Cam's given us a nice segue. Ginger Hoskett, let me just go back to that. I'll go in a moment. Is it Kim Cam? I'll get to you in a moment. Kim Cam says, if we play attacking football, we don't need to press as much. We can do it in certain games, but we cannot keep pressing without a big squad. Yeah, I agree. Ginger Hoskin says, brother, I work in football, mate. Sports science, mate. My job, I've worked 22 years in football. As fans, sometimes you see Eddie's views more than what's going on. He has to hold the form. It's his team. No, I don't. Look, I appreciate your football background, Ginger Hoskins. That's why we've got you on here. That's why we've got these. That's why it's important to have various opinions and everything else. Just, let me know if I've interpreted those stats wrong. What's the difference between the PPDA and per sequence in terms of what we just, let me take that off. So for instance, what we're looking at here. So the PPDA and press sequences, right? So Newcastle are mid-table for PPDA. You can't even see it there. Let me take that. Let me get back onto it. View the analyst. So Newcastle are 9th in the league for PPDA. That's pressing per defensive actions, right? And when it comes to pressing sequence, right up there with Brighton, Bournemouth, who are all pressing sides. Nottingham Forest now under Ange Postecoglou, pressing sides. Everton under with their new team are a pressing side, and so are Tottenham. And in terms of winning the ball back, press sequences, Newcastle are number 1 for that. However, we're 9th when it comes to per defensive action. We're 9th because we typically win the ball back. Are we even 9th? Did I even get that even lower? Yeah, here we go. We're there. below Brentford, below Everton, below all these guys in terms of that. So our intensity is pretty low. So we're like ninth from bottom when it comes to that. So yeah, let me know. Maybe I'm reading it wrong, Ginger. Let me know. But that's how I've interpreted it. Now, Kim Cam mentioned obviously our attacking style. So let's go. So just to kind of conclude on the defensive part. Ginger Hoskins says, Philip, I will retire end of the season so I can follow Newcastle again. I'm in London now working. Yes, I want to see my club win, but my review of our summer is we brought in players that Howe likes. Okay, yeah. I think typically they probably will buy players that Howe likes. And but let me know what players you'd have preferred. Great point, Adrian. So we can get the ball, but we can't do much with it. And that's where we go to for the attacking stuff. So just to summarize my conclusions on the defensive stuff is that we're defensively, when it comes to goals conceded, 0.83 per game. We're fifth in the league for that. XG, so chance that created against us, we're second in the league for that. And when you put the goals and the XG conceded, it shows that this is in line with expectation. So the amount of goals we are conceded is in line with what is expected in terms of the chances created against us. So we are by design, very intentionally, very deliberately, a high quality defensive unit in terms of our defensive, in terms of our system. If we're talking about, is our system working defensively? Yes, it is working. It is working very, very well defensively in terms of like very high up there. In the league. The total opposite is our attacking. It's our attacking stats. And I know that people have been like, I think maybe, I don't know what, maybe it's got people worried I'm going to like give a fairy tale story. I'm just going to give the best that I can from what I can draw. Our attacking stats, right? Our attacking stats is where you see a total contradiction between where we're at. It's a total contradiction to our defensive stats. So let's talk about it and what we've got so far. So attacking is our weakness. So the team is completely out of sync with its defense. So attacking, while they are highly effective at winning the ball back, so strategically winning it back when we can, our attacking execution is chaotic and inefficient. I'm sure lots of people will agree with it. So if you look at, for instance, our goals versus XG, for instance, we're only one goal less than what we should have got from our XG. But our XG is phenomenally low. So our expected goals are 5.8 anyway. So we're third from bottom in the league. Relegation when it comes to actually expected goals and creativity. We're third from bottom in the league for that, right? And we're in terms of our, I don't mind this that too much because it depends on the team tactics, but it's going to tie into what we're saying for the rest of this in terms of attacking. So when it comes to like 10 plus passes, Newcastle are able to achieve 10 plus passes at least six times per game. So we're 17th in the league for that. So we're not overly intent on build-up play. We want to be direct. We want to be quick. We want to be very direct. And we want to be quick as soon as possible in terms of our play. So there's different reasons why, we're not here to try and control a game of possession, if you just look at it that way. However, if we're going to be that, we need to be efficient in our attack, which we are not. We need to be executing our attacks if we're going to be quick and direct, and we are not doing that. And what shows us this is the other metrics. The final third passes success rate. We're 65.4% in terms of successful passes in the final third. So successful passes in the opposition half. We're 15th in the league for that, right? We're 15th in the league for that at the moment. And this ties in, for instance, with successful crosses, which is 17.2%. We're 17th in the league for that. So we're very, very, so even though we can win the ball back at a time when we want to, And then we want to be very direct in our play to get the ball up into the opponent's half as quickly as possible. Is from this point where everything falls apart. So our passing accuracy, our crossing efficiency. There were some other stats I wanted to highlight, but it's not on here, where it shows that our passing, especially in the final third, has been ineffective, has been inefficient, and our attacks have been breaking down. So the data shows that we deliberately abstain from patient build-up play. We rush our attacks. However, our passing and crossing in the final third are consistently inaccurate, like relegation form inaccurate, leading to a high number of very low quality shots. And obviously that's in our expected goals. So this shows inefficiency in our results in terms of scoring fewer goals as well. So if we summarize our attack, we are bottom of the league for most stats, for nearly all stats when it comes to our attack. Successful crosses, final third passes, 10 plus passes, expected goals, everything else. And our attack is absolutely falling apart at the stage we win the ball back. We're good at winning it back when we choose to win it back. But it's from that stage when we win it back where it all seems to fall apart. Now, what's the reason for that? And I've got this from, I've taken this quote from, let me get this gentleman's name so I make sure I give him his credit. This is from, I've got him bookmarked, Jake Armstrong, who you guys have, those that follow the show know that I follow him, and I've used his analysis before as well. So Jake Armstrong, this is from he actually reviewed the Arsenal game as well. And he actually was pretty calm about the Arsenal game. And this is his conclusion, but he also talks about Newcastle's attack and what his feelings are when he looked at the Arsenal game. Now, obviously, he's looking at the Arsenal game in this situation, not at Newcastle as a whole. But I think because of what he says here, it's reflective of it also ties into the metrics that we just discussed that talk about Newcastle as a whole. And this is what he says in terms of his conclusion. This is for the Arsenal game, but it ties in all these other metrics as well. Overall, I'm more positive than negative about the game. That's Arsenal. But there were some disappointing aspects. We have to be better at winning second balls. Simply put, and just calm down a little. We were overly direct, and this talks about this again, overly direct. And this, if you remember, we talked about how direct Newcastle are in terms of getting the ball, trying to get the ball as quickly as possible up the field. We're only doing 10 plus passes, for instance, per game, 6 times during a game. We're like 15th in the league for that, right? So we're very low in terms of actually trying to keep the ball. And Jake Armstrong talks about that. He says we're overly direct, and we were overly direct that game against Arsenal, but we're generally overly direct, especially in the second phase, right? So this is when we've won the ball back. We've won the ball back. We've got the ball back. We're bringing the ball up the field, and we're just not. Our passing accuracy is low. Whether it's position players out of position, it's just breaking down essentially. And this is what he carries on to say, especially in our second phase, we've got players who can receive between the lines, but we're not using them, right? For whatever reason, he's saying, look, we're overly direct that game, especially in the second phase. We've got players who can receive the lines, but we're not using them. Let's just calm down on the ball and be more patient, right? We just keep again, and this bears out in the stats. We're not keeping the ball very long. We're not overly direct, overly anxious maybe. We just keep going long out to the wingers, and this is maybe where we're getting Gordon and Elanga now out to the wingers, and sometimes it works, but that's about 40 to 50% of the time. And obviously, he's talking about the Arsenal game specifically, but the stats do bear that out, that our attacks break down more often than not because because we're just overly direct. And there's nothing wrong with that if the second part of that is we're getting the ball in we're getting the ball into the players in between the lines, or we're passing accurately to the players in the opposition half, which is not happening. Our attack is absolutely breaking down because we're just too quick on it. And he thinks that we need to be more patient. I agree. And so for me, obviously, Jake is just looking at Arsenal, the Arsenal game. I'll be interested to see what he thinks over Newcastle's overall season. I think he does talk about it actually, and I'll come out of this a little bit because he does talk about why he's not overly worried about Newcastle. Let me just see. And so, yeah, he what is it? Let me see if I can share this instead. Can I share this instead? Let me see if you guys can see. So he adds on to that. You guys can't see that. Let me show. I'm add that. So this is what his overall conclusion is. No need to wet the bed, lads. We pressed well. Yes. Actually, let me just go back a little bit because he does tie in. I think he ties this in with some stats, and is he just talking about? So he does tie in. Let me just this carries on, so make sure you guys can see it. You guys can see it. So we need to be more patient. And he goes on to say, I have very little problems with the setup. Howe switched to the back five, which was needed, but maybe we should have done it earlier, as Timber did have the big chance. Burn at left back you could maybe question, which obviously we do. Folks do in the chat, but he was used a lot in the build-up and was key for us when Arsenal went long, which they did more than they have all season. So no need to bet the wet lad. No need to wet the bed, lad, says Jake. We pressed well, which we do generally, or a lot more strategically, and defended our box well, which our overall season stats do bear out. And so nearly got a point against one of the best teams in England and Europe. Same thing we can say against Barcelona and Liverpool. Sometimes you need to hold your hands up and say we were beat by the better team. That's what's happened on Sunday. Back in the Champions League on Wednesday, and a game which we could very well win. And Forest on Sunday. 6 points is very likely. And with the way, it's interesting that he says that 6 points is very likely. And I wonder what you guys think. Do you think we can get 6 points for the next two games? I'd be interested to see what you guys think. 6 points is very likely, and with the way we are performing, I back us to get all 6 points. How way the lads? So let me know what you guys think about that. And I mention this because even though Jake focuses, obviously this is Jake's review of the Arsenal game. For me, there's a lot that he has said here that ties into the overall metrics for Newcastle's season, for how Newcastle have been performing in the season. Defensively, supreme. Offensively, not so good. And part of the reason for that is that, from Jake's perspective in terms of Arsenal, but I think you can take this as an overall theme. We've been overly direct. We've not been as patient as we can be. We have players who can play in between the lines in the opposition half. Let's use them a little bit more often and see, and build up our play. And I think we can. And I think what he might agree to, which is what I think. Our attack in terms of creating chances should improve. So that's Jake's conclusion on the Arsenal game, and I think there's themes from that can be taken in terms of conclusion for where Newcastle are at. And this is my conclusion, and this is my thoughts. The big picture: Newcastle United is a fundamentally unbalanced team. Attack and effect. If we're looking at the attack being very poor and defense being very good, they are a defensive powerhouse that is completely undermined by a broken attacking system. I think is broken because of. I agree with Jake. I think there's a bit of impatience, a bit of anxiety in our attack. So The story told by the metrics, if we just can put it all together, phase one, Newcastle win the ball. We are excellent at this. We're first in press sequences, number one, right? So we are very good at winning the ball back. Phase two, transition to attack. This is where the plan falls apart. We are direct, but our final third execution is poor. And if we look at the Arsenal example, could it be that we're impatient? Could it be that we're not using our players to play them through the lines? Could it be that we can be a bit more, we can use our build-up play a little bit more? We can have a little bit more of a time, and we've got the quality of players to be on the possession. Can we use them a little bit more? Then phase three, the result. All of our hard defensive work is wasted. We create very few high quality chances as a result of being very rushed, and they underperform on the ones that they do. So final takeaway, to become a top tier team, Newcastle do need to improve its defense. I think it's attack. Sorry, it's our attack. It needs to dramatically improve its attack quality and composure in the final third if we are to dominate in consistent offensive success. So if I take, for instance, Jake's overall review for the Arsenal game, I do think that if we're just a bit more patient, we use our players, especially those that are playing in between the lines, we can build up our attack a little bit. We can have more players in the final third, give our wingers a bit more options as well. I think we're then going to create better chances. So I do think it's very much fixable what we're doing. I don't think it's, do we have underperforming players a little bit? Gordon, I think so at times. Elanga's obviously still integrating. Voldemort, even though he's got 2 goals and I think got player of the month this season as well. He's still new, but at least he's performing. But if you're looking at Voldemort and Gordon, could use a little bit more help. Not Voldemort, Elanga and Gordon can use a little bit more help, but our midfield can control the ball a little bit better. I think that I'm looking at the likes of Tonali and Bruno in particular in terms of our ability on the ball. Can we use them a little bit better? I think we can. So my conclusion is the problems that we have in terms of our attack are fixable. And I do think that despite where we are in the league at the moment, there's underlying metrics that suggest that we are performing well, especially defensively. We do have a good system, but we can also improve in our attack. And that's more to do with our patience and our build-up and our attack. And I think Eddie Howe talked about it as well, even for the Arsenal game, where he said we can improve on our passing game. So I do think that we can do it. I think the problems that we have are, small is the wrong word to use. I just want to say, I think they're fixable. I don't think we need a system change necessarily. I don't think could we, if we, I see folks talking about Wissa. I'm going to get to the chat in a moment. Can we have certain players back that would help us? Lewis Hall on the left instead of Burn, for instance. Yes, but I do also think it's not as. How can I say it? Our problems aren't systemic. I don't think. I just think just a little bit more patience from a player perspective in our build-up, and I think we will improve. Is my opinion. But let me know what you guys thought. I have talked for quite a bit, so I'm keen to see what you guys are saying in the chat. Let me make sure I find my space here. And guys, do remember to like, share, and subscribe as you always do, so you can get the ball. So Adrian, so here we go. Let me start off here. Oh, I had to wet the whiskers there. Adrian Pickett says, so we can get the ball but can't do much with it. Basically, or we're not doing what we should be doing with it, essentially. We're not as strategic as we are in our attack as we are with our defense at the moment. Ginger Hoskins says, Philip, I met Klopp 2 years ago in a cup game and I asked him what's important, the system, tactic, or players. And he told me if the system don't want and players can't adapt to a formation failure, and I asked him what's important, the system, tactic, or players. And he told me if the system doesn't work and players cannot, then maybe, and players can't adopt to formation failure. So you think it's a system problem? You think Howe's got a system problem? I think you followed up on this. Sorry, keeping my answers short because what I want to say is long. But my main concern at Newcastle is Gordon and up front because our conversion rate is poor, and we wasted a lot of time replacing. Yeah, I think partly our conversion rate is poor and our creation rate is poor. For the reasons that we mentioned earlier, which is our final third passing, we're overly direct, we're not patient enough in our build-up, we're not using our final plays in the final third as well, as much as we could be. But I think these are fixable things. I do think these are fixable things. Aaron Camp says the long-term evolution has to be 4-2-3-1 with Automata in the pocket with more technical ability in wider areas. This is why I wanted someone like a Kliush to give a new dynamic. I wonder, I think I was saying as well, like, I'd love Kliush at the club as well. That could still happen. It sounds to me, Aaron, that you feel like maybe even, Aaron Hoskins, do you think this is irreversible because we don't have the right players or anything like that? Do you think where we are now is irreversible? We can't get better in our attack, or do you think to solve it, are there less how can I solutions that are like are some of the solutions a bit fixable essentially? BT says Union's SG recent tactical approach is the use of three-man defense. Yes, we're going to be talking about that. Absolutely, BT. Often the wing-backs playing a crucial role in both attacking and defensive phases. Absolutely. Nice. Very well researched there, BT. Ginger says Wilson and Isaac, Eddie has to take blame for the window they face. My old boss had to come save us. Is embracing. I don't know why Eddie has to take flack for that. For Isaac. Isaac needs to take flack for Isaac, I think, in my opinion. Let me know what you think, Ginger. David Barter says, once Iwisa comes in, we'll be more dynamic up front and we will score more goals. I don't disagree. And I certainly hope so. I'll do a few more, then I'll do the game breakdown. Philip, I think Wisa's out till November now. Then he goes to AFCON until February, so he might have to buy again. He's due back in October. The last time Eddie said he's expecting him back in October after international break for the Brighton game. Unless anything's changed, do let me know. AFCON starts 21st of December to the 18th of January. Hopefully we'll have him back soon, isn't it? It's not down to Newcastle rules of FIFA contracts to take player in the international tournaments. How I can't do anything. Oh, okay, so you're not talking to me, sorry. Ginger Hoskins, Philip, I think he bought for players he likes, not his system. But why would he do that? And it's not just Eddie. Like, there'll be other analysts. Steve Nixon will be there, and everybody else. I don't think it's just. So I haven't made up my mind. Essentially, I don't think we've. I think it's too early to say whether we've got the wrong players for the system or the system is wrong for the players. In my opinion. Tom Spence, I don't know if I've seen you before, Tom, but welcome to the show. God bless you, sir. 125 million for Isaac was crazy. Oh, the jury remains out on that. The jury remains out on that. Ginger Hoskins says, Philip, to solve our issues, we would have to use water mode as a hold up and buy new inside forwards, mate. Our wingers can't score when needed. I'm a bit patient with that. I think I see what you're saying. That's one solution. I think we can turn things around. Ginger says this is a tap in merchant, but he does stick around the box and for tap in something Isaac wasn't good at. So okay, I think it's so talking amongst ourselves. And BT says Wissa is likely to play against PSV on the 21st of January, but he could be back against Benfica on the 21st of October. All right, so you guys are just talking about when Wissa could be back. All right, so let's talk about USG, and I think BT did a really good snapshot in terms of where and who USG are in terms of their style of play. Just to quickly say before we go back, in terms of just how, before we kind of get onto the formation stuff, I did say just in terms of, is it not here? I had it anyway. Just to say that we know that USG are front-footed team, aggressive team, intense team, 3-4-3 formation that goes into a 5-3-2. Very direct in terms of their attacking play. Where are you? The fullbacks, as BT pointed out, will tuck in, or excuse me, they will join the attack. They can either be, holding the flanks, or at times they'll also invert depending on what the team needs. But the whole point is that them join to attack, so the midfielders can push up and break the opposition lines, cause overloads as well. So they're very, very much onto that kind of. That's their style of play. And I looked at their average positions in their last. This is in the last 3 games, but it's within the last 5 or 6 games in particular that kind of highlights certain things. I've taken down this the message board just for a minute to kind of highlight this. So if we go from left to right, this is against Vendor, which is about 3-4 games ago. This is average position of the players, and that it can only indicate. You can't take the average position as as this is where they're at all times of the game. But it does show the 3-4-3 from the 26, 48, and 5, and you can see the 4 pushing up with the 3 on across there. You can imagine, or actually, I'll have to see because it could be that depending on how they play. This is dependent on how they play, because it could be that 25 and 22 are the fullbacks that have joined up with the 4 in the middle and they attack there. But you can clearly see the 3 at the back as well there. And you can see obviously that they've taken kind of, and these are all games that they've won as well. So you can see how they've taken kind of very, very attacking. 48 is the closest one to the keeper, and look at the big gap in between them and the keeper. So they're very, very intense in their attack. PSV is a slightly different, obviously higher quality opposition, even though they won a 3-1. But you can see obviously their fullback spent a lot more time closer to the pit, closer to the keeper. Their wingbacks joined in with the midfield, trying to give numerical advantage there with the 3 attackers and attacking midfielders across as well, shielding the midfield as well. But they got the 3-1. It looks like in this game, I haven't watched it, that they had maybe a more counter-attacking style. And this is their last game from up going down. Like you can see 17, 13, and 12 here, literally one behind the other. In terms of their attack. So very, very central, very central. And you can see the 22 and 25 here tucking in, not holding the whip as much, but they've been tucking in, pushing through that central areas with the 3 in the back, and again pushing forward as well. So very, very central in their attack. Very direct central attack there from what I can see. And they won that game 2-0. So yeah, 3-4-3 is their main attack, 5-3-2 in terms of defensive play, very intense, very attacking. You can expect that it's a small ground. It's not St. James's Park. I'm just imagining like it's half the size of Bournemouth Stadium, for instance, and it's going to be really, really intense playing against them. So plenty for us to think about there. Let me know what you guys will do in terms of who would you guys start, who would you start, who would you play, how do you think the team's going to be rotated? Do let me know. Let me share the tactics board there. We know what we're kind of expect from the team now. Let me take this one off. Stop this one. Share this one. Where are you? You are here. Where are you? Where are you? I want to show the tactics board now. Is it you here? Yes, it is. Brilliant. Okie dokes. So now I'm guessing USG's team. I'm taking the team that they last played against West Orlo. So they might still rotate. They might not. We'll find out. BT says, Ginger, oh, you're talking amongst yourselves here. David, so I've got, let me get here to the tactics board. So for us, I've got Pope in goal, though I was thinking about Ramsdale. Not because of Pope's performance has been really good, but just wondering if we need someone, again, better with the feet. But Pope has been trying. I don't know if you guys have noticed, he's been trying really hard to be better with his feet and to join in with the play. So Pope stays. Now, I've gone for 4-3-3. I think we end up going man for man. I think 4-3-3, as Antonio Mango points out, I agree with him, is absolute kryptonite for the free. Well, I say kryptonite. There's opportunity to exploit USG's attack with a 4-3-3. So I hope we go over 4-3-3. I hope we meet them man to man, to be honest. I've gone with Trippier right back, obviously, for the injured Livramento. Now to keep his place, unless there's fatigue for him, but I think he'll be fine. I've gone for Burn over Botman, only because I would love for it to be Botman, but I've gone for Burn just because I'm thinking Botman has played now, 3 games in a row in a space of 8 days. So I'm just wondering if maybe he's going to get rotated out, just to keep him fresh. And I've got Hall starting. I hope that this is more of a hope that I've got Hope starting as well. So Burn and Chow in as essential centre backs, and Trippier and Hall as our fullbacks, and Pope and goal. I'm keeping our midfield. I don't see a rotation for them just yet. I think they'll be rotated in the game, but I don't think they need to be rotated at the start of the game. I've kept Gordon at left back. Not left back. Goodness gracious. Left back. Goodness gracious. I've kept Gordon on the left. I've put Murphy instead of Elanga on the right. Mainly because, again, going over the metrics, going over the stats, I kind of changed my mind a little bit. And I'm just wondering if Murphy helps us in the final third in terms of decision making, and his passing a little bit better. And he's got a little bit better connection with the Voltamada at this moment than the Langa. So I'm wondering if Murphy starts. In my opinion, I think he might start. And Voltamada obviously keeps a central spot as well. Though I do expect maybe after 60 minutes or so, he'll be rotated out. I don't know enough at all about the USG players. So I can't even the players that I looked at lot, who I thought might be the key players for them, have been sold, and I just didn't get enough time to kind of deliberate, kind of, study which players to look out for. So if you guys in the chat know who to look out for, do let me know, and I'll be more than happy to highlight them as well. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of my starting lineup. What changes you make? I think I've got a few folks already kind of letting me know as well who they would want to put up as well. So let me see. Adrian says we're in a bit of a pickle. We should be moving to a more possession-based game, but have we got the players? I think we want to keep a balance between the two, isn't it? I think we do. Voltamada, his ability on the ball, Jacob Ramsey, Tonali, Bruno. I think we've got it. We just need to trust ourselves to do it a little bit more. Even our centre backs, I think our centre backs are more calmer on the ball at the moment. So Chow, Botman, all good on the ball in my opinion. Shaw, all good on the ball. Like I don't think we've got an excuse not to be. Please don't, Dave Butts, please don't pass the Pope. My nerves can't take it. No, I know. Like I said, I think he's trying. Aaron says I'd start Ramsdale and Botman, to be honest, and keep trialing that backline. Yeah, You know what? I'll be quite happy to see Ramsdale, but I'm just wondering if Howe keeps Pope. Does he does he change him? Does he change him? Let's see how it plays out when we break it down. When is Wizard back? Nathan says. God bless you, Nathan. Good to see you. That's what we're deliberating here. I think he's back in October, but others think it's going to be a lot more later than that. I think it's going to be October Brighton game. David Barter says Shaw, Burn, and Ramsdale is what he wants to see, or he thinks will be playing. Oh gosh, I went up. Here we go. Nathan says 4-4-2 with both Gordon and Voldemar up top too. Okay, so you're going for a 4-4-2. Okay, so we can actually change into that as well with a 4-3-3. Aaron thinks Elanga will start as well. Again, I wouldn't be surprised, and we'll play about it. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. David says Sweden have played Elanga up top. Do you guys think that's a better option than Gordon up front? Good question. Good question. I think at the moment Howe just wants to integrate Gordon, not Gordon. Elanga on the right. Wobojog, good to see you. God bless you. Wobojog says, "Hey Phil, hope you're good, brother. Living life to the full, sir. Going man to man might not be suitable, fair, given your squad size, as it's more tiring from what I've read versus zonal block 4-4-2, like how we do." Yes, but do you think it could work for? Because we're not going to be. And you might have missed this Wobojog, but we're far more strategic in our press and how we work. So why I trust to go, I trust to go man for man, for instance, when, and we're going to talk about it now, but when for instance, when USG are playing from out the back, so we're not going to be man for man from all phases of the game. For instance, I do think we can do it from when, for instance, USG, the goal, maybe from when it's goal kick or when they're playing from out the back. So force them into direct play. So, and again, I hate to make these assumptions, but we should have the stronger, more powerful and athletic players. I just think we should, with physicality is our strength, and I think we should use it. And then when we got the possession, to keep the possession a little bit better, hence avoid the injuries and avoid the tiring as well. So, but I think you're also right at the same time, Wobojog. BT says, I think Tonali will play DM and Bruno on the right of midfield. Yeah, I don't disagree. When you're out of possession. Yeah. So I would go for a man for man when we're out of possession, or when they're playing out from the back and we're out of possession. But when we're out of possession, for instance, and they've got the ball, we'll probably go into our usual kind of 4-5-1, 5-4-1 formation. BT, the three midfield offer passing options and can create overloads in the central areas, allowing the team to control the game. For USG, yes, absolutely. Yeah. Let me know, BT, if anybody else know, who are their key players? Who should we look out for? Adrian Pickett says, I thought our squad size wasn't an issue anymore. I don't know if maybe, I don't think it is. I don't know if you're referring my conversation with Vobojog. I think just in terms of, I don't know if, is it a problem anymore? I don't think it's a problem currently, but I think maybe I was kind of clarifying with Vobojog that I don't think we're going to be doing like mad intensive man for man at all times type of thing and risking more injuries than we need to. So I don't think, hence why I think maybe Wobojog was saying that, look, you don't want to, you want to protect your squad size, essentially, is how I took it anyway. So yeah, I don't think squad size is an issue, and I don't think when we're doing man for man press, we're not going to be like intensely pressing throughout the game and risking injuries and things of that nature. So yeah, no, I don't think it's an issue. Right. So as pointed out by BT and others, and it's said in terms of articles and everywhere else, USG are an intense team in terms of their closing down, going into the final third. They love their look out. We've got to watch out for their wing backs. I think it's Niang who played in last game and Kaleo who played in last game as well. They're going to be involved at various stages as well, adding numerical numbers where needed for the attack. So let's see how that might look in terms of them. So they'll keep the three in the back where they can, though their centre backs do join in as well. So what would happen is what they try to create are these type of 4-4-2 situations. So not 4-4-2. What am I looking at? Box midfield. So try to create numerical advantage where they can. So where can we see here? So we've got the three in the back here. Khalil, I can imagine pressing up. So say Newcastle are playing out from the back of Pope. We've got the four in the back here. We've got USG pressing up with their forwards. What you will get is Rasmussen, Sorgan, and what you might get is a situation like this, where they'll try to create these numerical advantages here in the midfield. Let me highlight it. Oh, I can't. Oh, that's rubbish. Let me see if I can do it. Delete. Here we go. No. Where's my square is not looking good at all. So here we go. Better. So for instance, Zorgan, Schufs, Florix, Rasmussen. The whole idea being you've got obviously Burgess and McAllister here. So the whole idea being they've got 4 players against R3 in the midfield area, right? And if, for instance, their centre back chooses to push up, say Sykes chooses to push up, Zorgan can push up here, and what that leaves is even further press here with maybe Schufs on Chow. Depends. So depending on how they want to press, I'm going to assume they're going to try and make it as they're going to try and get Burn on the ball rather than Chow on the ball or Hall on the ball. So they'll try to, you get a Florix here trying to, with their centre backs pushing up. You got Zorgan with the ability to also to build up as well. The idea being to Sykes is here, Callister is here, to block the passing lanes to Chow, giving Florix the ability to also block the passing lane to Gomerish. But once Burn gets the ball, for instance, for Florix to try and close him down and force us into kind of, hitting the ball long, doing the Hail Mary type of thing and hitting the ball long and missing everybody else. And or Florix stays on Gomerish here with an extra man here through David, for instance, or David. Well, it depends how you look at it. If it is an extra man, obviously we're going to talk about the flanks in a moment. But the idea being, David here also been available to close down or to block the passing lane to Hall and give the floor to either Florix or Rasmussen or David to close Burn down and stop Newcastle's play from out the back. Right, so you can see that's how the 4-3-3 could work out. The 3-4-3 could work out, and the idea is also to always provide these numerical advantages in the midfield. Now, if they do press like that, what can Newcastle do? Obviously, there's this numerical. Let me take off the square. I can't take it off. Here we go. What can Newcastle do? Because even if with USG pressing in the situations, we've already kind of seen that they do. There is opportunities and there is spaces for Newcastle to be able to exploit. One of which, for instance, is what shall I start off with? If Voltemada, for instance, chooses to drop into midfield here with the spaces that are creating here, Burgess has got a choice. Does he follow Voltemada if he leaves Voltemada, what then happens is you leave this massive space here in the back for Newcastle to attack. And what if Voltemada drops in and Joe Linton fills that gap, as we've seen a lot of the times, Gordon can drop in and fill that gap, or either can go touchline, which I think he doesn't prefer to do, or he can join in as well. But also, you can create, for instance, for a Murphy and others to exploit these, to exploit the backline here as well. So that just all comes from Voltemada collecting. Even if Voltemada, for instance, is able to collect the ball and Burgess lets him go, for instance, if Burgess lets him go, then all of a sudden Newcastle can turn around, and then you've got a situation where you've got Gordon available, Joe Linton hopefully making the runs, Tonali making the runs, and Murphy, and then you put the whole backline in a situation where now their backline is outnumbered, with Alistair, Burgess, and Sykes having to face the likes of Joe Linton, Gordon, Tonali running at them as well. So it'll be interesting to see how they close down. And I wonder if they've got a really good super keeper as well, who'll be looking for the through balls and the over direct passes as well, Sherpan as well. So that could all come from just Voltemada being able to drop in. The other options are around this is maybe even if Sykes does choose to follow in Tonali, you can have Murphy dropping in as well. You can have Murphy dropping in and collecting the ball on the half space, or creating some sort of option for Pope or for Burn to get the ball over as well. In the spaces here. The other option, which Newcastle would love to do, is use Joe Linton, especially Joe Linton in terms of being able to collect the ball in the air, whether it's headers on. You see the passing play with Voltemada and Gordon. Again, I don't know how physical and how strong and how tall Rasmussen and Alistair are, but if Newcastle are able to exploit this, the aerial ability here in the back, again, it gives us options, because if Joe Linton's able to collect the ball, you've got Gordon making runs, maybe stretching the pitch as well, putting Alistair McAllister in uncomfortable situations. Again, you're going to have to get Tonali has to make also break the lines as well. I'm sure Murphy can do the same. Those type of situations. Can Newcastle collect the ball or win the ball in those final third areas where Newcastle have been struggling as well? But I wonder if USG stay a bit disciplined. They'll keep the three in the back, for instance. Keep Voltemada here. So Rasmussen on Joe Linton, Florix on Gomerish, for instance. Zorgan here on Murphy. Spoofs here. I wonder if they do stay disciplined and put Newcastle in a situation where Burn gets the ball and there isn't too much options on for him, and try to force us to go long again. So if they're and this all stems from their centre back staying where he's at, essentially. So Zorgan on Tonali, Khalil here, that kind of keeps Murphy sort of free. But again, do you back Pope or Burn to be able to get the ball into the sweet spot here? That's going to be very, very difficult. So you're going to have to see some. Again, I don't know how good Florix is in terms of Gomerish. He's going to have to ensure that Gomerish isn't able to turn around. Maybe Tonali joins in. Maybe Pope has to. And this is where folks are talking about Ramsdale. This is where Ramsdale will be good if we were to play him. Where is he on here? Ramsdale. That's Pope. Where's Ramsdale? Let me get Ramsdale off the bench. Because the other option is using our goalkeeper. Where is he? Ramsdale. Here we go. Ramsdale. Kind of using Ramsdale. I've got Elanga. It's not going to be Elanga. Using Ramsdale in terms of bringing almost becoming a third man from out the back. So rather than getting the midfielders to drop in, getting a Ramsdale to, what that allows is for Chow to push up a little bit more, Burn to create a split and to push up a little bit more, Hall to push up a little bit more, and others, and create these type of situations where now Khalil's got to think about, okay, does Sykes cover Murphy? Who do I cover? How do we close him down? Does Spoof have to think about Chow? Does he look at does he look at Ramsdale? If Shrews tries to close down Ramsdale here, Ramsdale's got the ability to get the ball over to Chow, whether it's over Shrews or like just here as well. And again, creating these situations where now Newcastle can play out from the back, get the ball over to Trippier. Murphy can start making runs. Tonali can start making runs. Maybe Voldemar drops in or starts making runs, collects the ball in these type of situations. And this is all stems from the goalkeeper being able to play the ball from out the back, right? Alternatively, it'll be one of our midfielders. So you still have the split, but you have Bruno dropping in instead. What then that leaves is Florix having the choice of, do I follow Bruno right here? If I do that, then I leave this space in the back here, allowing for Voldemar to drop in. Again, we talked about Burgess. Does he follow Voldemar? If he does, then you've got the space in the back for Gordon, for Joe Linton, for Tonali to exploit. So that's going to be interesting to see how that works as well. So there's options for Newcastle in terms of being able to play out from the back, but it has to be intense. I prefer, my ideal world would be for Hall to be able to get onto the ball, especially if we're playing from out the back. I think it would be super, super important for us to get Hall on the ball, because with Hall on the ball, Gordon plays a lot better, because our ability to play out from the back improves hugely. Our ability to play out from the back improves hugely. So are we able to get Hall on the ball? With Burn, where's Burgess? Burgess is going to be here. David is here. Tonali, Trippier's pushing up. Murphy, Sykes, Joe Linton's here. Can we get, Florix is too slow, for instance, to get the ball off Burn, and Burn's able to get the ball off to Hall. With our ability, with Hall's left foot and quality on the ball, Gordon can start to make runs here, because he knows that Hall's got the quality to get the ball from along these channels here. And he's also got these abilities. Gordon loves to drop in, as we know, collect this ball. This allows Joe Linton to start making runs on the outside or runs on the inside, and start to create these type of overloads where maybe Voldemar joins in as well. So you get these 2-versus-1 situations as well. And that's all from Hall and his left foot getting onto the ball. We saw when we've got Botman instead of Burn, Botman's able to get. The other alternative is that Botman does play, and Burn is on the bench. Botman by himself has got the ability to get onto the ball and get the. We've seen a lot of through balls in the Arsenal game, for instance, as well. I say a lot, more than to show that we can do it. You can either get Joe Linton or Gordon playing, and we saw a lot of this Voldemar dropping in and Botman getting onto the ball. Voldemar dropping in, and what allows is, again, Joe Linton and Gordon to make the runs or to be able to collect the ball as well. These type of situations occurring. Maybe Murphy can get here on the overline. The whole point, as always, is to try and get the ball in at the back as well. So there are options here. I would love to see Botman and Chow and Ramsdale to be playing. I think Aaron Kane talked about that. I would love that. I just wonder if fatigue or anything else, but I would love for them to be able to play. I think that would be the ultimate lineup, really. Ramsdale, Chow, and Botman from out the back. Hall at left back, Trippier. Maybe we do get that. And maybe after 50 to 60 minutes, we get a bit of rotation as well. So let me know what you guys think so far about that. I'm going to talk about in terms of when we get the ball in a moment as well. I'll have to be quick. I didn't realize the time was that. Nathan says it's going to be 6 or 7-0 to us. I'll absolutely love that. Ginger says, we're going to play a team who have 5 midfielders. They are 3-5-2 like Napoleon used to play. Like Napoleon used to play? Do you mean Napoli? Let me know. I'm learning about USG to be honest, Ginger Hoskins. So let me know. Like I know there's going to be a lot of transition play, a lot of intensity in what they do as well. So let me know. Let me know. Their right wing is their star player. So who is their right winger? Is it? Let me know if you're talking about David or you're talking about Niang. Let me know. So that's someone for us to look out for. BT says Eddie's style of play is defined by proactive possession-based football with high tempo transitions and a structured, aggressive high press. I want to see more of that. Eddie emphasizes ball control, positional structure, and uses wide rotations to progress the ball in attacking 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1. Yeah. And would you want to see a man-for-man press? Let me know, BT. BT says the midfield is crucial with players often positioned to create triangles for quick, high-tempo passes and contribute to both defense and attack. Yep. Philip, Ginger Oskin says, Philip, Ital Hodges de Amaris, he will rip us apart. I hope not. I hope not, but I'll look out for him. BT says build up does begin from the back. Begins from the back with patient circulation of the ball to draw out opposition pressure and create spaces. Yeah. That's where we're anticipating. Aaron Kame says, Union SG press high and aggressively. We need Hall and Bruno at their best, and Chow needs to be playing them switches. Absolutely. When their wingbacks push high, which is why I feel the game is okay. This is why you feel it's better for Elanga. Makes sense. Makes sense. I like that. Aaron says, did Niang used to play for Milan, or is that another year? I know who you're thinking of, Aaron, but I'm not sure. I know who you're thinking of. I know who you're thinking of, but I'm not sure. And it could be the game for Elanga as well. So if we put Elanga on, and what I think you're thinking of is, to get these direct balls over the top, really, from a Ramsdale or from a Chow in terms of his ability with his right foot as well, or even from Trippier as well, getting the ball onto Trippier, being able to play the ball out from the back, giving the Elanga that option as well. But let's see Newcastle in an attack, and I'll keep those players on. So it depends on how USG want to do it. 5-3-2, 3-4 in terms of defensive play. So let's see. Zorgan, David, Flores, Shrews, Khalil, Niang here. So you get them, I assume. Niang's going to be part of a 5-3-2. Zorgan and Rasmussen screening the back three. With a rotating Flores and David across as well. So what you'll get is Newcastle, Voldemort keeping that backline busy. I know Gordon will prefer to be somewhere here. So let's see. Elanga will probably want to be here. Tonali, Bruno. Who am I missing? Okay, Tonali here. Let's keep Tonali here. Bruno. I would want Hall as far up as possible. Botman, Chow, Trippier, not bad for a back three. Tonali screening the back three if when needed, and giving us the option. So, say for instance we want to attack on the left here. The aim is always to get into these zones, however way we can. So, say we go on the left. Where is it? Where am I? Here we go. Gordon's been suffering a little bit, but when Hall comes along, we've got these type of options. So when they go into 5-3-2, the whole aim for them is going to be to try and avoid these overloads. So Voltamada will be trying to keep their backline busy. I'll be interested to see if he keeps on Burgess, for instance. Joe Linton here on Rasmussen. Gordon, I think, will need to invert quite a bit. Hall pressing up. Don't be surprised if you see Botman a little bit more advanced. Charles got that raw pace to stay at the back. So say for instance we get Tonali dropping in between the back three with Trippier and Chow on either side, for instance, and you get Botman on the ball here, breaking the lines a little bit. So it allows Hall to push up a little bit and Gordon to be able to to create these kind of triangles. So David's got the choice here. Does he let Botman continue to advance, or does he go out to meet him? If he goes out to meet him, he knows Botman's got the ability to hit a through ball to Gordon, for instance. That allows Voldemar, Joe Linton to start breaking in out the back and causing these type of overloads again to try and to get into the central areas. Or if he tries to close down Botman by blocking the passing channels to Gordon, Botman, does he get the ball out to Hall, for instance, here? Again, trying to create these triangles or these triangles here with Gordon Hall and Joe Linton, with Voldemar joining in the central areas here, forcing Burgess across. Bruno pushing up, trying to cause some sort of overload and force them to go force Zorgan to leave his position as well. Again, the choice always is to getting out the back. Where the concern for me is here, and this is talking about our final third passing, is I don't know if Joe Linton isn't Zubimendi. He's not going to chip the ball in and do any of the stuff. I would prefer someone else than Joe Linton when it comes to kind of creative parts of this play. So I wonder if there is a way to either get, whether it's, I was going to say Gordon, you can get Voldemar into these situations. I think it's a lot more creative, but you would want, it depends where you want Voldemar. You can get Voldemar dropping in, and he loves to do that, and maybe Joe Linton pushing up into these central areas. Then you will get this creativity. I think Voldemar is superb in that. He showed again against Bradford, getting into these positions where I know Gordon will feel like, okay, I can make this run into the box, and Voldemar can have a find me on the outside or on the inside. Same thing for Joe Linton. Or if Voldemar stays where he's at, does, for instance, Hall invert here and to get onto the ball here. Maybe Tonali pushes up, Botman stays where he's at. So Chow, we've got a protective free, so Tonali joins in and they both invert with Hall. So you get the more creative players, whether it's Hall in the central areas, whether it's Voldemar in those central areas. The whole idea of being able that Newcastle are able to be creative in these type of situations. Again, our final third pass and our attacks into the penalty box haven't been the greatest. So you want to be able to get your creative players on the ball. Hall, Voldemar, maybe even Tonali and others trying to get into the ball into these final areas. I think that'll be really, really key for me as well. Or if we go on the wing play, force Niang out wide, for instance, in these type of situations. Voldemar, again, loves to drop in. Maybe Joe Linton fills that gap here. Gordon on the left. Can we isolate Gordon against Niang, for instance? Get him on the outside or on the inside, or Voldemar making the late runs with Joe Linton. I think that will be key as well. So I changed my front, my starting lineup. But if Botman is fit to start, and Charles okay to continue, I'd love to see Ramsdale start, though I don't know if that would happen. There is opportunities for Newcastle to win this game and to win it well, but it's a tough team we're playing. But guys, send in your predictions. I'm going to give mine in a moment. BT says Union SG will be no pushovers. I agree, despite being our easiest game on paper in this 8-game league phase. Send in your prediction. Let me know what you think. BT will be the scoreline. I do think from what we've discussed, Hall playing, Voldemar playing, they'll be so key. I think for Gordon, I think they could really unlock Gordon, especially in this game as well, which I think will be important for us. Chow, Trippier on the right side. I think that will give Langa a lot more to work with as well. So there's opportunities there, honestly. Aaron Kemp says, we normally have a 2-4-4 shape in possession. I think Trips pushes high and Hall inverts into midfield, matching them numerically in wide areas. Okay, so let's see. So it's a 2-4-4. So I've gone to the wrong screen. So let's have two, Botman, Chow, Trippier pushing up. So Tonali, Hall, inverting, providing these, so a lot more like really aggressive. So you force a situation here. So either Elanga stays out wide of Trippier and Bruno. I see what you're saying there, Aaron. Nice work. With Bruno joining in the wide. Where's the ball? Here we go. So you can either get a situation where Chag gives out the ball to Trippier here, for instance, and Tonali can join in, creating these type of 3-on-3, 2-on-3 situations, or 2-on-2 situations here, creating the overloads. Or can you have Bruno staying where he is, with Elanga going on the inside? Khalil's got a choice here. That do I go out or and risk Elanga getting the ball on the wide areas, pulling Sykes out, letting Bruno run in, for instance? Do they stay where they are? Allow Trippier to get the ball out to Tonali, for instance, and kind of get the ball into these dangerous situations where now you got Bruno Bruno Elanga hopefully causing overloads on the inside as well. So yeah, you're right, Aaron. With all these, there's a 2-4-4 build-up, creating this box midfield here. Who does Florex try to close down? Is he forced to go back? If he goes out to Chow, he creates this gap in the middle, huge gap in the middle, which either allows Hall to jump in, or Voltamada, who loves to jump into the gaps as well. You don't want the situation, or I'm sure USG don't want a situation with Voltamada dropping in, Bruno on the overloads, Joe Linton on the overloads, maybe Gordon as well. These type of situations, yeah. I like that. I think that's a good idea. Not a good idea. That's a good shout there, Aaron. Send in your predictions. I'm going to give mine in a moment. Catalan 094, God bless you. You were unlucky against Barcelona. It was a good game. It was a good game. Aaron goes for a 1-0 win. Love that. Love that. BT goes for Newcastle to win 2-1. Well done, guys, for sending your predictions. David Bart says, another great show, Philip. Thank you, Dave. Really appreciate that. Roll on tomorrow. How away the lads? 3-0 Newcastle. Adrian goes for a 1-1. And David Bart lets people know, hit them likes. Hit them likes, folks. Hit them likes. Right. Again, I have such limited knowledge on USG. And I would love to see our attack connecting in this game. I think USG's style does give us gaps and gives us opportunities. I'm going to go for a 2-1. No. I'm going to go for a 2-0 Newcastle. I'm going to put our elite defense against USG. Now, I think we can. I'm going to go for a Newcastle 2-0 victory. 2-0 victory to Newcastle United. That is my prediction. Guys, continue to send in your predictions. Thank you, BT, Adrian, Aaron, all the folks that have been sending in predictions as well. Guys, we've had a fantastic show. We've done a tactical breakdown on USG. We've talked about them as a club. We've talked about Newcastle, our form. We've read out some of the metrics as well, defensive and offensive metrics, where Newcastle defensively are doing really well. Attacking, we need to fix up. But there, for me personally, where the issues that we need to fix in attack are fixable. I don't think we need a system change as of yet. I think it's too early to say whether we've got the right players or not just yet. I do think we need to be, just like Jake Armstrong was saying, I think we can be a little bit more patient in the build-up. Trust the players that we know that are good on the ball, your Halls, your Brunos, your Tonalis and others, your Voltamadas, and go on from there. I think we can do that. I think it can click. And then we gave a tactical breakdown of the game as well, and kind of seeing the areas that where Newcastle can exploit, can work on, and hopefully get the victory. And again, thank you to the folks. BT said we need to attack like when we beat Tottenham 6-1. I love that. I love that every week. Mighty Mag, good to see you. God bless you. Sorry, Philip, I'm late. I'll rewatch from the start. Appreciate you, Mighty Mag. Always a blessing to see you. If you can, send in your prediction. I've got Newcastle 2-0. I think we've seen more people predicting victories as well. Guys, you've been absolutely amazing. My camera went down, but you stuck with me. My mic went down at some point as well, but you stuck with me. That means a lot. I do really appreciate you guys again. Thank you, Aaron, as well, for the positive comment there. Really enjoy making the show and doing the show with you guys. You guys are absolutely amazing as well. As always, folks, have an incredible evening or start to the day wherever you are in the world. As always, folks, take care and God bless, folks.